did a blood clot that big go through my heart and I'm still alive? What's up, everyone? Welcome back to LaTeya Danielle. As you guys can tell by the title, we're doing a little life update, story time, about my most recent very traumatic life event that happened. Today is, you guys see my niece. Today is September 27th. And I decided to record this video today because on August 27th, exactly a month ago, I almost died. So stay tuned for that story time in this video. If you are new here, go ahead and click that subscribe button, give me some thumbs up, share this video with someone. If you are not new here, welcome back. And let's go ahead and get into this video. All right, so before we get into the video, I'm just gonna let y'all know right now, this story might be a little long because I don't really want to leave out any details, because the details are really what make this story. So grab your snacks, grab your drinks. We might be here for a minute. I don't want to start on August 27th. I have to backtrack a little bit, and we're gonna start on, let me make sure I have the correct date for the day that happened. August 24th, that Wednesday. So Wednesday, August 24th was a normal day for me. I was working. I work from home a lot, but I'm a social worker, so I have clients that I have to see. I do a lot of home visits and driving back and forth and all of that. So sometimes in between clients, I'll have time to run home and eat or go to the store or do whatever. On this day, I went home and I was doing some notes in between clients, and I had some lunch, and I ran upstairs to grab something from my room. I went upstairs, came back downstairs, and I realized that my breathing wasn't like it normally is. I normally breathe fine, but I noticed that I was getting very short-winded just going up the steps, and I was like, that's weird. And so I told my mom, I was like, I feel kind of short-winded. I don't know what that's about. And she was like, well, I can take you to the urgent care. I can take you to the doctor. And I was like, no, I still have a couple more clients to see today. Don't worry about it. I'll be fine. So went on about my day. I was still short-winded, but in my mind, I was thinking I'll be fine. So I went on about my day. The next day, August 25th, seemed like a normal day. I didn't really have any clients to see that day. We were having an event at work where everybody's clients were coming together. I work with kids, so all the kids were coming together for an event. We were gonna work on building resumes and all that. So I went to the office for the event, got some good news while I was there. I was getting a raise, so I was happy, and everything seemed fine. I sing on the praise team at church, and on Thursday nights, we have rehearsal. So rehearsal was at 6. For some reason, I can't remember what happened, but I was running late for rehearsal, and I texted everyone, let them know hey, I'm running late, but I'm coming. I got there about 6:15, 6:30, and I was running inside the church because I knew I had missed the beginning of rehearsal, and I don't like to be late for rehearsal. So I was running in the door. It was hot outside. I didn't have any AC in my car. I was sweating. And so I got inside, and I'm thinking, well, whenever I get inside, I'll cool down, catch my breath and all that. We started singing, and there was one particular song we were singing, And for some reason, I just could not hold my notes out like I normally do. I grew up singing. I've sang in groups, praise teams, choirs. I've been singing like all of my life. And so I knew that I can hold out a note, but for some reason, I could not hold that note out for anything. And I was just like, well, it's probably because I'm still hot and it's hot in here. And I was thinking, it's always kind of hot in here on Thursday nights anyways, because the air is not, I don't know, it's always colder when we go for church service, but then in rehearsal it's warmer. And so I just pushed it off. I was just like, I'll be fine. This is just tonight. By the time I get here for church this weekend, I'll be fine. I'll be able to hold my note out. I'll practice tonight. I'll practice on Friday night. I'll be fine. So that was my thought process through all of rehearsal. I'll be fine. So the next day comes, it's Friday, August 26th. Now, I was happy. First of all, I was happy because it was Friday. I was getting off of work early. I was going to Huntsville, Alabama. I had some business that I needed to take care of there, but I was also picking up my best friend. She wanted to come here to Chattanooga for the weekend. So I was picking her up and we had this whole weekend planned. So I picked her up. I went and handled the business I needed to handle. I have a brother that lives there, so I stopped by to see my brother and my niece and my nephews. So we're all there and we're just chilling, and I start to feel extremely hot. And I'm looking around at everybody else and I'm just like, everybody else is chilling. Nobody else is sweating. I'm over here like dripping sweat. And I asked everybody else, I was like, y'all not hot or is it just me? And then my brother goes, well, the AC has been messing up, but it's fine right now. And I was just like, okay. And then I was thinking, I don't know. I felt like this earlier this week and it turned out to be fine. I'll be fine, even though I was sweating a lot more than I was like the day before in rehearsal. And I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna worry about it. I'll be fine. So my best friend and I, we drive the 2 hours back to Chattanooga. Like I said, we had like a whole weekend planned. And the first thing on our to-do list was to go to this restaurant called Shogun and get some sushi because both of us love their sushi. So we went to Shogun, got some dinner, you know, sat there, talked for a while, and then we went to my house. That was on Friday night. Everything seemed fine. I got home, of course, went up the steps and realized that I was out of breath, and I thought to myself, this happened earlier this week. I'll just go like take a shower, sit in front of the fan, cool myself down. I'll be fine. And that's what I did. I took a shower, got out the shower, came back in my room, was putting on my lotion and everything, sitting in front of the fan. I felt fine. I got in the bed and I didn't go to sleep until after 1 o'clock in the morning. I set my alarm for 7:30 a.m. because call time to sing at church was 9:45. Church is 20 minutes away from my house. So I thought, you know, that'll give me about 2 hours to get myself together. Plus my best friend was there, and getting ready with my best friend is like, both of us are gonna be rumbling around doing stuff. Plus we were gonna be vlogging for our channel that day, and it takes time to do a vlog and all of that. And so we wanted to make sure we were up in time to start the vlog, plus get ourselves dressed for church. I didn't know what I was wearing anyway, so I needed to get up earlier to figure out everything. I woke up around 6:30 on the 27th. It's August 27th, that's Saturday now. I woke up around 6:30 a.m. and it was normal. I just felt like I had to use the bathroom. So I got up, I walked to the bathroom, used the bathroom, walked back to my room. And when I got back to my room, I sat down on the bed and I started to like drip sweat. And I was like, that's weird. But then I was thinking, my room is always hot. Like, I literally have the hottest room in the house. And I was like, well, I'm over here. Like, I was sleeping on the side of my bed that is like right under the vent. So I was like, I'm gonna sit under the vent, wait for the air to come on. I'll put the fan facing toward me and I'll be fine. Literally, y'all, that was my whole thought process throughout the whole week. Every time something happened, I was thinking, well, I'll be fine. And so I finally cooled down, and by this time it's like 6:40, 6:45. I laid down, and as soon as I laid down, my heart started beating so fast, and I was like, what is going on? And so I was a little bit concerned, and so I'm laying there, my heart's beating really, really fast, and I keep hearing this voice saying, put your watch on, put your watch on. And I'm thinking, my heart's beating out my chest. Why would I just randomly put my watch on? Plus, it's 6:45 in the morning. I don't ever put my watch on this early in the morning. And so I'm still hearing the voice, put your watch on, put your watch on. And I was like, you know what? Let me Google like what my heart rate should be if I'm just laying down, not doing anything. So I grabbed my phone and I Googled what my heart rate should be. And I think it said like a resting heart rate would be somewhere between like 50 and 100 or something like that. And I was just like, so my heart beating fast is probably like in the 90s, I'm thinking. And so I put my phone back down and my heart is still racing. And I keep hearing this voice saying, put your watch on, put your watch on, put your watch on. And I was like, all right, fine. So I grabbed my watch, put it on, and I heard another voice say, check your heart rate. And I was like, I might as well have the watch on now. Let me check my heart rate. So I checked my heart rate, and it was, I want to say 134 or 135. And I was just laying down, and that's when I really got concerned because I didn't know what was happening. I'm laying down and I was thinking, well, I'm gonna just try to relax myself, go back to sleep. I only have a few more minutes. I wanted to get my last few minutes of sleep because I didn't get that much sleep that night anyways. So I was thinking, let me go back to sleep for a few minutes. Then when my alarm goes off, I'll get up and get myself ready for church. I never went back to sleep. I was laying there like wide awake. I kept sitting up and then I'd lay back down, and I'd sit up and I'd lay back down. I'm trying to like breathe because the faster my heart was beating, the more difficult it was getting for me to breathe. But I didn't understand it because it wasn't like I was moving around. I wasn't doing anything. I was literally just laying in my bed and my heart was racing. And so I sat up one last time and I was thinking to myself, whatever this is, I'll be fine. If I can just get through this weekend with my best friend, we have stuff planned. Like, and that's all I was thinking. Like, I don't want to ruin this weekend with all this stuff that we have planned. We were recording content for our channel. We were going to take some pictures for our Instagram, you know, influencers. That's what we got to do. And so I'm thinking, if I end up going to the hospital, I'm gonna mess up this whole weekend. And that's not what I wanted to do. And so I was thinking, if I can just get through this weekend, get her back home on Sunday, by Monday, if it's still happening, I'll just call out of work or something, go to the urgent care, or just go see a doctor. And in my mind, that's what I had made up my mind by that point. I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. And I heard this voice saying, you need to go to the hospital. I immediately like started fighting with it. I was like, I'm not going to the hospital because every time I went to the hospital in the past, I get there, they tell me nothing's wrong, they send me home, and then a few days later this bill comes in and I'm paying for nothing. So I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not racking up another bill just because. In my mind, it was just because, not knowing that this entire time I am dying. I didn't know. Like, I didn't know. So let me not get too ahead of myself. So at this point, I'm starting to worry, and I'm stressing myself out, and I can tell that I'm stressing myself out because my heart starts beating faster. It's getting more and more difficult for me to breathe. And so I didn't want to wake up my best friend. She was sleeping in the room with me. I didn't want to wake her up. And so I wanted to go like be somewhere by myself. And so I went back to the bathroom. This time I grabbed my phone and I had my watch on. So I went to the bathroom. I put the lid to the toilet seat down and I just sat on top of the toilet. And I was just thinking, like, what is going on? Like, I have never felt like this before. Never. I've never had these symptoms before, and I was just confused about everything that was happening. And I started to Google my symptoms. Probably, people say it's like the worst thing you can do is start Googling your symptoms. And so I'm on like WebMD or something, and I start to put in all of my symptoms, and the results come back a mild heart attack. And I'm just like, am I really having a heart attack? Like, I didn't know what it was, and it could have been a heart attack. In my mind, I didn't know what it was. And so I don't know if I started panicking at that point, but my heart started beating faster. And at this point, my breathing is horrible. It's horrible. Like, it's just completely messed up. And so I start praying at that point. And I was like, God, I need you to help me. Like, show me what's going on. What is wrong with me? Like, I need some type of sign. Like, what is wrong with me? And at this point, I'm like legit scared because WebMD said that I'm having a mild heart attack. I am 28 years old. Why am I having a heart attack? And I was just thinking, like, what is supposed to happen next? Like, and I'm in my mind, there's so much happening. And so I'm just thinking about this weekend that me and my best friend have planned. I'm supposed to be singing at church. We already didn't have a lot of singers. And so I was like, I don't want to let anybody down. I don't want to mess up anybody's day. And so I literally just sat in the bathroom. I didn't realize what time it was until my alarm went off. And that let me know that it was 7:30. And I was like, well, I really need to like get myself together and wake up my best friend so she can get herself together. I need to figure out what I'm wearing. Like, all this stuff is going through my mind. And so I stand up and my whole body just got weak. And so I realized I can't do this. And so I sat back down on the toilet, and my chest starts hurting. My breathing's messed up. My heart's beating super fast. And I realized that I needed to go to the hospital, but I was still gonna try to put it off. And so I sat there and I was praying. And the way that I was praying, God heard me. The way that I was literally just talking to him, the way that I'm talking to y'all. I was letting him know that I was scared. I didn't know what was happening. I was telling him my symptoms, even though God already knew what was going on. But I was literally just talking. And in my mind, I was praying. And the way that I was praying was like, I would inhale and say, help me, God. And I would exhale and say, thank you, Jesus. And I just went back and forth like that for about 10 minutes. That's all I did, sitting on the toilet in the bathroom. I kept monitoring my heart rate, and it was still in the high, like 130s. And then I realized I needed to let somebody know what was going on with me so that somebody could get me to the hospital. I texted my mom, and my first message was like, I think it said like, Mom, I'm in the bathroom, I need help, or something like that I said. and she didn't respond. I know that she sleeps with her phone on the table next to her bed, and she doesn't put her phone on do not disturb or anything, so I know that my text messages were gonna go through. And normally my mom is like the first person to get to her phone at all times. She will answer, she'll respond to a text. And so I was like, if anybody's gonna answer me right now, it's gonna be my mom. So I was texting my mom and texting, and I finally texted her and I said, Mom, I think I need to go to the hospital. And I still wasn't getting a response. So I text my best friend, and I just knew that she was gonna like respond to my text message or come to the bathroom if she didn't respond. Let me tell y'all, because when I left out of the room, I saw where her phone was. She was laying on her stomach and her face was on the pillow, but the phone was like right up against her face like this. And so I was like, if nobody responds to me, I'm gonna text her, and I know she's going to feel the phone vibrate on her face because that's where her phone is. She didn't hear her phone, she didn't feel her phone. And I'm just sitting in the bathroom trying to breathe, trying to slow my heart down. My chest pains were getting worse. And I was just like, Lord, I need somebody to answer the phone. I didn't think about texting my dad and I couldn't call anybody because I couldn't breathe. Like, I couldn't get words out. That's how bad my breathing was. And so I didn't think about like texting my dad either, because I heard him like rumbling around the house, and he was like downstairs or something. And it was a Saturday morning before church, so I know he's not gonna stay downstairs. He's gonna come back upstairs, and he's gonna be in his office for a while. So I was like, he probably doesn't even have his phone on him anyways. I'm gonna just continue to text my mom. So my mom finally looked at her phone and saw the messages, and she told me that the only message that she saw from me was the message that said, Mom, I need to go to the hospital. And so my mom finally came to the bathroom. She tapped on the door, and I didn't say anything. And so she opened up the door, and I'm sitting on the toilet, and I'm like on the countertop is right here, and so I'm like leaned over the countertop, and I look over at the door at her, and I could tell by the look on her face that she knew something was wrong. And so I was finally able to like get out the words to tell her what was wrong with me. I knew that she could see that I was hot because I was sweating. I told her that my heart was beating really fast, my chest was hurting, and I told her that I really need to go to the hospital because I didn't know what was going on and I was scared. And so she told me that I need to get to my room and put on some clothes, and she'll take me to the hospital. So she got me to my room. I needed help getting to my room. I couldn't do it by myself. So my mom helped me get to my room. I sat down in this chair that I'm in, and she turned my fan and faced the fan toward me, and I was trying to cool down. While I was sitting there cooling down, my mom left and went to her room and told my dad. My dad was back upstairs by this point. She told him that I needed to go to the hospital, and he was already dressed. My mom was getting dressed, and I decided to wake up my best friend. And she woke up, and I said, Ricky, my mom is about to take me to the hospital. And as soon as she heard that, she jumped up, and I kid you not, she was fully dressed in less than 30 seconds. She was completely dressed, head to toe, less than 30 seconds, ready to go. And it took me about 20 minutes to put on a pair of leggings and a t-shirt, because simple movements, like simple things, I couldn't do without not being able to breathe. So I finally got dressed, and I knew I needed help walking. And so my dad came into my room, and he walked me like down the hallway, and I had to stop a few times going down the hallway because I couldn't breathe and my body was very weak. and I had to stop. My parents' room is at the end of the other end of the hallway. And by the time I got to their room, I couldn't breathe and my chest was hurting so bad. So I stopped in their room and I sat down on the bed for a while. And after a few minutes, I got back up and there was nowhere else to go but downstairs. And I knew I had to get downstairs to get out of the house to get to the hospital. But I looked at the steps. There's 16 steps. And I didn't think that I was gonna make it down the steps. And so by the time I got down to like the second step, my mom is on the phone and she's calling 911 trying to get an ambulance. And I'm still thinking, whatever this is, I'm gonna be fine. I don't need an ambulance. That's gonna add another bill. And so the whole time I'm thinking about the cost of this, and I'm not really thinking about my life, because at this point I'm dying and nobody has a clue what's going on with me. Nobody knows at that point that I'm dying right in front of their faces. And I told my mom, I was like, no, I don't need an ambulance. You can drive me to the hospital. I'll be fine. I can make it down the steps. I shouldn't have done that. Now I know that I should not have done that. That was very dangerous. So 16 steps. On a normal day with my normal self, I would be able to get down the steps in like 10 seconds or less. Just, run down the steps. It took my dad about 45 minutes to get me down the stairs, and total time it took me to get out of the house and in the car is about an hour. When I got down the steps, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to walk through the living room, through the kitchen, to the garage to get in the car. I also knew that I wasn't going to be able to walk out the front door, down the sidewalk to the car. Even though both of them are not that far away, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to make it. And so I told my parents, I can't do it. My mom went outside and got in the car and drove the car as close to the front door as she possibly could. And my best friend and my dad helped me get to the car and put me in the back seat. My dad hopped in the other car and we drove separate cars to the hospital because nobody was thinking that the situation was going to be as bad as it was. And so my dad was going to leave the hospital and go to church. That was the original plan. I'm trying to make this story short, y'all, but bear with me for just a little bit longer. So we got to the hospital and my best friend goes inside and gets a wheelchair because I knew I wasn't going to be able to walk. I got in the wheelchair. My mom and my best friend rolled me inside and we get me all checked in and everything. And they told me to put a mask on, of course, because COVID, hospital and all that. So I put on a mask. And as soon as I put on the mask, I could not breathe at all. And so I'm like trying to hold the mask out, and the lady who's like doing reception or whatever, she's like, make sure you keep your mask on your face. And I'm just like, I can't breathe. So they finally called me back there. They checked all my vitals or whatever. They did an EKG on me because I told them about my heart. And the nurse who was working with me, he was asking me a bunch of questions, like if I was stressed out, if I was worried about anything, did I get any bad news recently? And I'm just like, no, like this week has been great. Like I got a raise this week. I got my name taken off of a lease for an apartment that I haven't lived in for like the past 3 or 4 months. Like everything, there was so much good stuff happening this week. And I was like, no, I haven't gotten any bad news. My best friend is here. We have a lit weekend planned. Like, no, I've gotten great news. This has been a great week. And so he was like, I don't understand why your heart rate is, I don't understand. I don't understand. And then he looked at me and he was like, don't worry, you're gonna be fine. And then he rolled me back out to the lobby, and I'm sitting there waiting, and he comes back out and he says, we have a room for you. We're gonna get you back there so you can see the doctor. I said, okay, great. And so they get me in the room. I get on the bed and I'm laying there, and here come other nurses putting IVs in my arms, and they're just like, we have to run some tests on you. And I'm just like, okay, this is like standard stuff when they're trying to figure out what's happening. And so they ran a bunch of tests on me. By this time, my mom and my dad are in the room with me. They were running a bunch of tests. I can't remember if it was my mom or my dad that asked the nurse this question when she came in the room, but they asked what were the test results of whatever test it was. I can't even remember, y'all. It was so many tests. And the nurse says, unfortunately, I'm not at liberty to discuss the results of the test. That'll be something that the doctor has to discuss with you. But I'm gonna take her to her next scan. And at that point, I kind of got worried because I was like, why can't you just, am I okay? Like, you can't just say like what it is. And I was thinking, well, maybe it's like standard hospital procedure or something. I don't know. And I was like, well, you can at least like tell me, because it's something going on with me. Like, I'm gonna know anyway. Why can't you just tell me? But I just kind of got worried from that point. And she starts to take me to my next scan. I think it was like a CT scan. And so we get into the room where they're going to do the scan, and there's like another little office inside of the room. And so I'm laying there on the bed that she rolled me in there on, and she goes into the room with the tech who's going to be doing the scan. And the tech asked the nurse, can she get up from the bed and walk to the table and lay down on that table so we can do the scan? And I heard the nurse say, I think that she was trying to say it quietly, but I heard her say, it's very important that she does not get up. She can't walk around right now. And I immediately started like stressing out, and I was extremely worried. And I was thinking, something is really wrong with me and nobody is telling me what's going on. They keep running all these tests and nobody is saying what's wrong with me. And so I was scared. I was like, my hands were shaking. That's how scared I was. And so they rolled the bed over as close to the table as they could get it, and the nurses had to lift me up off of the bed and put me onto the table. They did the scan, put me back on my bed, rolled me back to the room, and the nurse said, just wait here. We'll be right back, and the doctor's gonna come back soon. And I said, okay. And so I'm laying there. My parents are talking to me. I don't know what we were talking about. And so I'm scared and I'm trying to calm myself down. And then the door opens and a nurse comes in. And this nurse starts to put an oxygen mask on me because my oxygen level was dropping. Another nurse comes in and she's hooking me up to an IV drip. And then the doctor comes in and she closes the door and she says, okay, this is what's going on. And so I look at her and she looks worried. My parents are looking worried. I'm scared. And she said, she looks at me and says, you have a massive blood clot. And I immediately just like, I think I just mentally shut down, because as soon as I heard the word blood clot, I got scared. Like, I was already scared. At this time, I'm terrified. And so she said that I had a massive blood clot that traveled from my leg. And not only did it go to my heart, the blood clot went through my heart. It went through the right side of my heart, and it lodged in the arteries that pump blood to my lungs. I'm trying. So I'm like, at that point, I'm trying to hold back tears because there's nurses in the room, there's doctors in the room, and I'm looking at my parents and they're in shock, and all I'm hearing the doctors and nurses saying is, nobody survives this. Like, we don't know of anyone who has survived a blood clot going through their heart, especially a blood clot that's this big. So they told me that the IV drip that they had hooked me up to was a blood thinner. I think it was heparin. So they hooked me up to that, and I was still on the oxygen because my oxygen level was still dropping, so I had to stay on the oxygen. The doctor told me that I needed to have an emergency surgery, but they couldn't do the surgery at that hospital, so they had to transport me to another hospital in Chattanooga that was bigger, and they would be able to perform the surgery. And she told me that they would have to call in a special team of doctors to perform the surgery. And I'm hearing all of this that's going on, but I'm like mentally not in the room. I am like gone at this point, and still trying to like fight and hold back tears because I didn't want to like cry in front of all these nurses and doctors. They were asking me questions. I don't even know what the questions were. I couldn't answer any questions. I was overwhelmed, like completely overwhelmed. And so they finally leave the room after getting me prepped to like leave and be transported. And my parents come and they're standing on both sides of me. And my dad starts praying, and I kind of felt like this sense of peace that just came over me. But I was still scared because I was dying that whole morning. From like Wednesday, I was dying, and nobody had any idea. Nobody knew until that moment. And I remember after my dad prayed, I remember looking at him, and I asked, like, how did a blood clot that big go through my heart and I'm still alive? And y'all, it's a miracle that I'm still here. I'm gonna try to, if I have the picture, I think I have the picture, but I'm gonna insert the picture of the little diagram that the doctor drew on the whiteboard in the room to show us how the blood clot went through my heart. And so fast forward a little bit, it transported me to the next hospital. As soon as I get to that hospital, they put me in ICU. Well, not ICU, they put me in CCU, which is the critical care unit. Put me in CCU, and I wasn't there long before they were transporting me to the other floor for the surgery. And I'm really scared then, even though it was weird. It's like I had mixed emotions. Like I had a sense of peace, but at the same time I was scared because people have surgeries, and sometimes surgeries don't go well and they don't make it out. I already like barely made it, and now I'm about to undergo a surgery, and I don't know if I'm gonna make it out of this surgery. And so I was scared. They start to roll me to the surgery, and I'm like, at this time, I didn't care who was around. I'm crying. Like, I am like boo-hoo crying. And they take me into the operating room, put me on the table. And for this surgery, they had to go in through my groin to get to my heart. And they were gonna try to remove the blood clot. And so they put me under like a light anesthesia. I was supposed to go to sleep, and there's like this huge flat screen TV on the side of me, and I'm looking at this screen, and they put the camera up like through my body, and I'm watching them on the screen beside me perform this surgery on the inside of me. And I'm supposed to be asleep, but I'm looking, y'all, that part was actually kind of cool, because I could see what was happening on the inside of me, and I could kind of feel it too. It was kind of cool, but it's kind of creepy at the same time, and I was still scared. But eventually I fell asleep, and I didn't see the whole operation. But they were only able to remove a piece of the blood clot, and they said that the rest of the blood clot would have to be dissolved with medication. So after the surgery, they took me back to my room in the CCU. They told me that I had to keep my right leg straight for, I want to say it was 6 hours or 4 hours. 6 hours, because I remember it was around 4:30 when I got back to the room, and they didn't take the catheters out of my groin until like 10:30 that night. So for 6 hours I had to lay with my legs straight. I couldn't move. I couldn't lay on my side. It was so uncomfortable. It was so uncomfortable. I was still on oxygen. I was still getting the blood thinner through an IV in my arm. I found out that my blood sugar was extremely high when I went to the hospital, so they started me on insulin, and I was taking metformin. They were trying to regulate my blood sugar. My blood levels had dropped because, this whole time I'm on my period, so I'm losing a lot of blood, especially with being on the blood thinner. And with losing that much blood, my blood levels started to drop, and I had gone into like anemia. And then the doctors or nurse came in the room, and they're like, we need to get you to sign off on having a blood transfusion just in case you need it, because your blood levels are dropping quickly. And so all of this stuff is happening, and I'm still in shock that I'm still alive, because the size of the blood clot going through my heart was just, I shouldn't be here. I should not be sitting here. 1 month later, I should not be here. I should have died 1 month ago. I shouldn't be here right now. And so I was in CCU that Saturday night, Sunday night. By Monday evening, I was stable enough to go into a regular room at the hospital. So they moved me to another room, and things started to like look up from there. I was still on oxygen. The doctor said, you're probably gonna go home with oxygen because your oxygen level's still low. We're probably gonna have to send you home with an oxygen tank and all of that. And I was just like, I was praying about that, because I was like, I don't want to go home with no oxygen. I don't want to be on an oxygen tank. I just didn't want that. And so my parents were coming to visit me. A lot of people from church came to visit me. I was getting a lot of phone calls, text messages. Everybody was checking up on me. I just want to thank everybody for showing me all the love that you guys did. I really appreciate that. So that Thursday, I spent a total of 6 days in the hospital, and that Thursday I was finally able to come home. And on my way home, all I was thinking of was my parents were able to prepare the house or prepare my room or whatever, get things ready for me to come home, and they could have been planning my funeral. And it's a miracle. God really spared my life. Like, he gave me this second chance at living. I have a long road ahead of me. I'm still recovering, but I don't look like what I've been through. But I'm still healing, still recovering. A month later, still on medications and all of that, but I'm home, I'm breathing, I'm alive, I'm walking. I can go up and down the stairs with no help. I'm just now getting back into driving. I can walk around the store now. I still get pretty exhausted walking around the store because I still have the blood clot. It's not as big as it was because I've been on my medication and it's dissolving, but it's still there and it's still in the arteries that go to my lungs. But I'm still alive and I'm getting better. So what I have is something called a saddled pulmonary embolus. You guys can look up information about that, or you guys can drop some questions in the comment section below, because I want to do a Q&A about this. Whatever questions you guys have about my experience, or if you have questions about pulmonary embolism, drop them in the comments below. I want to do a Q&A about this, so do that. But yeah, pulmonary embolism. My heart is still weak. It went through the right side of my heart, and so the left side of my heart is what's like doing the majority of the work. The right side of my heart is still weak. So I get tired pretty quickly. I've noticed the past few days though that I am getting stronger, because when I came from the hospital, I was taking like 3 to 4 hour naps throughout the day. Now I'm stronger. If I do take a nap, I only sleep for maybe an hour or two. But these past couple days, I haven't been taking a nap, so that's a good thing. So I am getting stronger. I can't go back to work. I've been out of work this past month. Whole month of September I've been out of work, and I can't go back to work until October 10th. So I still have, a few more days to get myself together. Well, by the time y'all see this video, I think I'm going back to work the next day, because this video is probably going to drop on October 9th. So October 10th, tomorrow, is when I'm going to go back to work. But right now, I still have like a week and a half left. I have a week and a half left to just build my strength and mentally prepare myself to go back to work. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I left out. I don't think so, but if there is, I'll put it in another video. I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys, like whatever questions you guys have, or if you have any comments or whatever, just put it in the comment section. And let's chat about pulmonary embolisms. But I do want to publicly thank God for saving my life, and I want to thank my parents and my best friend for being there and helping me get to the hospital. And I also want to thank all the doctors and nurses at the hospitals I went to, CHI Memorial in Chattanooga. If this video just so happens to come across the platform of somebody who works there, I just want to say thank you guys for taking such good care of me. But yeah, that's it. I'm sorry that this video is as long as it is, but I had to tell the story, and I wanted to give you guys details, even though I feel like I left some stuff out, but it's okay. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for praying for me and loving on me and supporting me. Make sure you guys show some more support by subscribing to this channel if you haven't already. Comment, give me a thumbs up, share this video with somebody else, spread this story around, and just let people know that God is still in the miracle working business, because I'm literally a walking miracle. I'm a living, breathing, walking, talking, moving miracle. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.